I do have recent updates about the wildfires in California. There are more fires now. I know I covered this the other day, but since I covered it, there are even more fires. I want to get started with this video here from Sky News, where Gavin Newsom is confronted. People are angry. A lot of people are pointing fingers, and rightfully so. But the reality is, I just keep thinking about the rich people are going to be fine. I'm thinking about all the people that are, middle class, lower class, poor. I'm worried about those people because I know they can't afford to just get another apartment. They can't afford to just buy another home. And I don't even think people can afford to buy a house in California today. Not, average American people. And I've watched people lose everything. Like I've been watching this stuff for the past couple of days. It's insane. Check out this clip here.
Here. Evacuation order for Malibu, east of Las Flores.
As the emergency alerts continue unabated across Los Angeles, Rachel is returning to the Pacific Palisades.
Oh, 719 Island Street, God. Oh.
It's been home her whole life, but she barely recognises it.
Apocalypse.
Around every corner, almost complete destruction.
This was a little cooking store thing. This is a parking lot for a center.
Firefighting planes bringing water from the ocean to tackle the blazes still raging in all parts of this city. Growing too is anger at a perceived lack of preparedness by authorities.
We shouldn't be seeing this. We should. This is where people need to wake up. Because if you're voting and you're picking people for softness or for the fuzzy feeling you got because they seem like they're good people, I want to know that we're going to have someone in charge.
Then Rachel spots a face she recognises.
Is that Gavin Newsom? That's the governor. That's the governor. Governor, I live here, governor. That was my daughter's school, governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is being criticised by some for water mismanagement as hydrants ran dry while fires multiplied.
So I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
This is interesting. When I first saw this, I thought that this was probably staged somewhat because she just happens to run across Gavin Newsom while she's in the car with Sky News. Interesting. But I think they're trying to make it more of a political play. They're trying to show like, okay, let's see how Gavin Newsom is handling this.
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
to fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I would. I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
Diminishing winds are bringing some respite for firefighters, but it's likely to be brief. As estimated losses surge, there is still zero containment of this fire. Officials say they don't know the death toll. Dogs will be brought in to search this rubble for fatalities.
Guys, just stop and take a look at this for a second. That looks bad. Like, look at this. We're talking about entire blocks, like just gone. And we're talking about within the past 2 years. So we had East Palestine, Ohio, right? The train derailment there, not the only one. There have been many throughout this country. And then we had Lahaina in Hawaii, the fires there. And then now we have the wildfires in California, and California is not, immune to wildfires. Like, they have them, but they said this is the worst. This is the most devastating one that they've had.
Jeffrey and his partner Nicole are returning to their seaside community, once a little slice of paradise.
Each one is an individual neighbor. So this is my dearest friend, Gayleen, who I've known for my whole life, 35 years. That was our clubhouse where we would play pool every Friday. That was Ben's house. These are like my closest friends here.
They sift through the dust. In a plastic box, everything they can find. A turtle figurine, a garden gnome, a house name plaque. It's very little, but in a place where the loss is so huge, it means so much.
Yeah, that's just one of the updates that you can see there. I do want to answer that question about the water. I covered this when this story broke, but I want to show this again because Gavin Newsom knows the issue with the water. So does Rick Caruso. I believe that Sky News, who was covering this story, also know about the water in California, but they don't really want to put the blame where it's due. So that's why you have independent media. Let's see about that. Let's see about the water in California. You want to know why they had issues with some of the fire hydrants? It's not just because they cut the funding for the fire department. We're going to get into that in just a second as well. It's also because you got to ask yourself, who owns the water? Who owns most of the water in California? So shout out to JT Tapman for this here. Everybody, this video was going viral. Check this out.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage. Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland, and nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella, the Wonderful Company, a privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. The majority owners, the Resnicks, are worth at least $8 billion. How were they able to take over such a large percentage of what should be a shared public resource?
We have one billionaire couple that owns most of the water in California. That should be a public utility. How in the hell did a billionaire couple get to own most of the water in California? This is why I keep telling you who the real enemy is, folks. It's the billionaire class. This is not right. This is just wrong. But we don't have any laws against it. That goes back to the laws, right? We don't have a law against it. The billionaires can do whatever they want. I tried to warn people about Bill Gates buying up all this farmland. I tried to warn people about Elon Musk. I tried to warn people because this is a problem. That should be available to anybody. So we've gotten to this point where a billionaire couple owns a resource that you need for survival. Let's go a little bit more.
This is The Classroom from More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how the Resnicks got rich. Linda is a former child actress, the daughter of Jack Harris, a successful movie distributor of the 1950s, most well known for The Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
So they come from celebrity.
At 19, she founded her own advertising agency. Stewart was born to a middle-class New Jersey family and started his first business, a janitorial service, in grad school. He eventually acquired American Protection Services, a burglar alarm and security company. Linda approached him about marketing services for the company, and they hit it off, not knowing that one day they'd work together to take over California's water. The Lovebirds became business partners. They bought Teleflora, the flower delivery company, and the Franklin Mint, purveyors of inane little tchotchkes. Linda was the marketing person, and Stewart was in charge of business. As Linda told the LA Times in 1993, I've always said that Stuart and I together make one perfect person, like little salt and pepper shakers. In the late 80s, they found their primary industry, agriculture. They got into the pistachio business. Linda said, "We've done more for the pistachio than anyone ever since it was planted in the Garden of Eden. My husband should be canonized for all the work he's done." They started branching into other products. Almonds, pomegranates, citrus, wine, and acquiring more and more land to cover it, including some very important land in Kern County, which granted them water rights in the area. As the Resnicks were building their empire, the state of California was building new water infrastructure with taxpayer money.
With taxpayer money, they built it. With taxpayer money, but the billionaire couple gets to own it.
California's natural water supply is very inconsistent. Vastly differing amounts of rainfall means the state can go from surplus to drought and back very easily. So they build water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts. One important storage facility is the Kern Water Bank, started in 1988. The facility was built with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which could have been a good thing. The people of California would have owned the water. But there were two Californians thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more water. Linda and Stuart Resnick, and they had a lot of political power. We'll get to that. In 1994, state water officials, water infrastructure contractors, and agricultural landowners with water rights arranged a secretive meeting at a resort in Monterey Bay, California. These groups, a mix of private companies and public agencies, rewrote California's water rules without any input from voters, taxpayers, or legislators. The new rules, called the Monterey Plus Agreement or the Monterey Amendments, were devastating for working Californians, and great for agriculture billionaires. The original code included urban preference, a long-standing rule that in times of drought, the state water board would give urban areas, where people live, access to water supplies before agricultural interests. Monterey axed that. That means that in times of drought, the water systems for normal Californians would have to buy water from private companies, because they weren't getting it from the state. The new agreement also loosened regulations on paper water. That's water that doesn't necessarily exist anywhere but on paper. The full quantities of water that providers could have, but don't actually need to have. Today, 5 times as much water has been promised and sold as actually exists. And importantly, the meeting changed ownership of the Kern Water Bank. What once belonged to the state was transferred to a few private water contractors, one of which was Westside Mutual, a wholly owned subsidiary of Wonderful Foods. The wonderful employee who runs Westside, Bill Phillimore, is the chairman of the public organization that manages the Kern Water Bank. Boom. One secret meeting and the Resnicks owned nearly 60% of an important California water resource.
One meeting. You see how quickly they were able to get what they wanted because of who they are? Guys, don't forget, Flint still has dirty water. And it's not just Flint. There's places like Denmark, South Carolina that has dirty water. There's probably places in California that have dirty water. What in the hell do they need with most of the water in California? Why? What are they planning? Gotta ask those questions.
Built with hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money. The new ownership, combined with the rules on paper and surplus water, meant that during times of drought, the Resnicks could sell Kern water back to the state water systems. They took Californian taxpayers' water and sold it back to them, both literally as the water supply and also to grow expensive food like gourmet pistachios and pomegranate juice. They converted the people's water into products many can't afford. And that's just one water bank. The Resnicks also have control of other water boards and have been sued for directing more water towards their properties.
Did you hear what he just said? They have been sued. They have been sued with directing more water to their properties. So people have already said, okay, let's start suing these guys. This is why billionaires are so problematic, you guys, because they have such enormous wealth, they can own whatever they want. And it is incredibly dangerous when they own an important resource like water. That means you are dependent on them. We don't own it. I don't even think that should be possible. No one should be able to own water, period. But here we are. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Wanted to go to right about here. Here we go.
Who agreed to spend $750,000 on a new study. It returned the same results as the first one. Can't buy science. But the Resnicks have tried. They are among the top donors to the University of California system, with their donations focusing on agricultural and ecological studies. The Resnicks have basically bought entire departments who put out studies on how water systems should be managed, and where funding should go. That leads to even more federal and state taxpayer dollars being used to fix up what the Resnicks profit off of. This is all bad for California, even in a capitalistic sense. Agriculture uses 80% of California's water, but only represents 2% of its GDP. The Resnicks' water monopoly is just one way their quest for wealth hurts the rest of us. They allegedly lobby for increased tensions with Iran to keep embargoes on superior Iranian pistachios. Their giant crops lead to monocultures which kill important pollinators. They siphon taxpayer dollars into the company town charter schools they own, set up to train children to work for their farms. And of course, like any company of this size, they exploit their workers. We need to treat water for what it is, a necessary public resource.
A necessary public resource. Protect JT Chapman, because a lot of us didn't know about this couple until this video went viral on Twitter. So for the people asking, what about the water? Now you know about the water. Okay, so let's go back, because we got to talk about a couple more updates that happened. I just wanted to make sure we did cover that. I thought that was important. You need to hear from the fire chief. Now, the fire chief spoke to CNN and Fox News. So to be fair, we're going to show both. She is not happy about what happened with the budget cuts. There was $17 million that was cut from the fire department. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a myth. That's a fact. There was more money that was given to the LAPD. So when you cut important resources from these departments like the fire department, then when something does happen, you end up with this type of situation. Listen to what she had to say. This is Chief Kristen Crowley.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service, and having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact. I want to also be clear that I have, over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire department needs help. We can no longer sustain where we are. We do not have enough firefighters. With that, I have also requested multiple budgets, interim budgets, to show how understaffed, under-resourced, and underfunded the LAFD is. So with that, also, we have clear data that shows the LAFD needs more help. We need 62 more fire stations. These reports also show that we've had a 55% increase in overall call volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters. I was also directed to develop a plan as part of a budget reduction exercise, and that could equate to $48.8 million. And I rang the bell that these additional cuts could be very, very devastating for our ability to provide public safety. That would have resulted to 15 fire stations closing down and potentially the elimination of over 300 firefighters. Again, I want to be clear that I submitted a very large budget that will actually allow our firefighters to do their job.
Okay, that's CNN. And let's go to the dialogue she had here with Fox News, because she spoke to both. Okay, so for people saying, oh, she only just spoke to a network that supports the Democratic Party, this is what she said to Fox News.
Period. Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city? It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say, justifiably, what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community. Did they fail you? That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs. Did they fail you? Yes.
Chief Kristen Crowley. I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there, had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that.
Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped.
We just found out who controls the water, right? What did I tell you? One billionaire couple controls most of the water. So you see people pointing their fingers at the firefighters instead of pointing their fingers at the billionaire couple that controls the water.
That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part. But I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got in a very dynamic situation.
And I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whomever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had, they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue and to save people's lives and property. And that's the bottom line. Now let's get them what they need to do their jobs. And so
let's get them water, Chief, because I was with your firefighters and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning, and literally watching a house burn to the ground because they had no water.
That's exactly right. But did they continue to work, and did they continue to do what they had to do the best they could with what they had? Yes.
Chief, follow up.
See, this is why we have independent media, because none of them, you saw CNN and Fox News, neither one of them told you who owns most of the water. We keep hearing them say, let's get them water, but you're talking to the wrong person. And anyone who's pointing their fingers at the fire department, please stop. Please stop. This is not their fault. They're doing what they can do with what they have available and the staff. Don't forget, I also told you the other day that some of the inmates in California were also firefighters. They were using prison labor to help the fire department. So let's remember that. When they implemented prison reform, that reduced the amount of firefighters that they had as well. Now, you shouldn't use prisoners for labor. Again, I told you they're able to do this because of the 13th Amendment. I heavily disagree with that. I don't agree with slave labor. I don't agree with people working for free. I don't agree with any of that type of stuff. But the reason why more people don't want to become firefighters is that they're not paid much either. So a lot of people don't realize firefighters aren't paid much. I know people that have been volunteer firefighters, like pay these people, and more people will probably be willing to do the job. That's the fire chief letting you know the real damn deal. 3 years, this woman said that she's been begging for more resources, but they decided to give more resources to the police. And this is not just Los Angeles. This has been happening in other cities across the country. I'm trying to tell you, even in Boston, right here, they want to give more resources to the police instead of in the areas where we really need it. And you don't realize it until a disaster happens. Now, I told you there were other fires. Some of these fires are arson. They have declared some of them as arson, the new ones. Niecy Nash is going to talk about that. So Niecy Nash, she's an actress. She was on this HGTV show. I forget the name of it, but I'm very familiar with her. You might be familiar with her, but she was also affected. Listen to what she says about people who were setting fires after the Pacific Palisades one. Listen.
I just want to thank everyone who prayed for us. So far, They have lifted the evacuation immediately from where we live. Our bags are packed. We're ready to go just in case. But there were citizens in our neighborhood that caught the person who they believe started the fires near where we are. Very, very grateful for that. And I just feel my heart is so heavy for people who have lost everything. And it's just a hard place to be in, you know. And I am overwhelmed, and I am grateful. I feel like in a way I have survivor's remorse.
So she was mentioning that there was some arson that was happening as well. Now I want to get to the looting story, okay? Are there some people that have been looting? Yes, but you got billionaire couple out there looting water. So always take that. I see a lot of people pointing fingers and like, oh, there's people trying to take stuff. These are people desperate and despair at this point in time. I'm not advocating for you to go and do that. Disclaimer. But where's that same anger towards the Resnicks who own most of the water, took the water from the people and sold it back to them? So you're going to hear a little bit here about people that were looting. And then we're going to debunk one of the stories that has gone viral on Twitter, where they are pointing out a group of people who just happen to be Black as looters, which has already been called out by Community Notes. Let's go ahead and get into this.
I want to talk to Nathan Hochman, the district attorney for Los Angeles. I appreciate you joining us. I know how busy you are. I just want to talk about a couple of different things, but there have been, I understand, a number of arrests for looting. Can you just talk about what you've been seeing?
Yes, unfortunately, we've seen already 20 people arrested for looting. And we've sent out the message and tried to make it as simple and clear as we can. If anyone wants to take advantage of this tragedy, people who have lost their lives, their businesses, and want to loot, want to steal, want to commit burglary, robbery, or eventually commit scams on the internet or whatnot, they're going to be arrested, they're going to be prosecuted, and they're going to be punished to the full extent of the law. Their actions are despicable, and we are going to stand with the people and support the people who've suffered these tragedies. In fact, sadly, my sister lived in Pacific Palisades for 15 years, and her house was burned down to rubble, along with so many of her neighbors and so many of our friends and community members. So the people who want to illegally profit from this tragedy, they'll be met by the full force of the law.
Okay, so he's addressing the looting thing there. Again, Pacific Palisades is a very affluent community. You have a lot of celebrities that live there. Again, these people, they'll be fine. They may not, some of them may not be able to get like a multi-million-dollar mansion like they had before, but they are going to be fine. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be fine. James Woods is going to be fine. I want both of them to be quiet. Be quiet. Okay? Now, here's the story that people are showing that is a lie. And it went viral. This is just one of the accounts that shared it. Many accounts have been sharing it and didn't do the research. Breaking. People are actively looting and breaking into homes during the worst natural disaster in the history of California. So watch this short little clip here. This is the video that's making its way around on social media, and people are accusing these people of looting. Watch this. So nobody knew if those people were looting or not, right? Those could just be people evacuating. Now, Community Notes luckily caught it. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. These individuals are not looters. This is footage from KLTA News, who interviewed the homeowner who stated her children and friends were helping her move, as posted by a City of Compton councilman. And it went viral because look at this, 9.8 million views. Did they delete this? No. So people are trying to send a message along with this. How dare you? And when you do things like this, by the way, you don't make it better or easier for the rest of us in independent media. Those of us who are trying to fight against censorship, you don't make it better for us. Didn't delete it, still left it there because they're trying to send a message. Luckily, people picked up on it. You can see it here. Black men falsely accused of looting while evacuating wildfire. See how these people are coming up with all types of things. A video showing two black men carrying items out of a home during the California wildfires went viral this week, igniting accusations of them being looters. Critics of a premature accusation labeled them as rooted in racial bias. Why it matters. It talks about the California wildfires, etc. What to know. This video of men carrying a bag of items away from a fire and a TV out of the house has gone viral. One user who posts on X, formerly Twitter, has 3.5 million views, commented that the usual suspects are looting again. You see this? This is what people are doing, fam. This is ridiculous. So, have there been cases of looting? Yes, but you can't just pick any video and say, oh, there's some black guys carrying some stuff. We're going to say that they're looters. Not only that, but it's dangerous. What if those guys would have been arrested? What if they would have been chased down by the police? What if they would have lost their lives by the police? People trying to use this story to fit a narrative that they want. When in the reality, if you just open your eyes, you'll see a lot of this is about money. And you can see that with Rick Caruso because he helped himself while other people were struggling. Rick Caruso, who ran against Karen Bass, billionaire tycoon, is blasted after hiring a private fire crew to protect his luxury outdoor mall as devastating wildfires continue to rip through LA. That's Rick Caruso who chose to do that. You see, Rick Caruso thought it was more important that he protect his damn shopping mall. While people have lost their lives, while people have lost their homes, he thinks it's more important that he protects his shopping mall. This is a problem. Why does Rick Caruso get a private firefighter crew when everyone else has nobody there? How is this okay? That's him right there. He didn't use his billions to help any of the people. He used his money to protect a mall. That's what he chose to do. Because retail matters more, not lives. LA residents are furious. A billionaire tycoon spent thousands of dollars on private firefighters to help protect his business while emergency services struggle to contain the flames. Billionaire developer and former mayor candidate Rick Caruso is receiving backlash online after the New York Times reported that he had hired a private fire crew to protect Palisades Village, an upscale outdoor mall owned by the businessman. So let's go back to Rick again. I'm sure that mall is insured. One would think you would have had insurance. But it was more important for him to use his money to protect a mall. He didn't hire a private firefighter crew to protect any of the people property. He didn't hire them to protect other people. He hired them to protect his damn mall. And malls are dead anyway, damn it. You got to be kidding me here. A mall? Rick Caruso. So if you follow the money, you will understand what the real problem is. You can follow the money all the way here to Jamie Lee Curtis, who had the audacity to compare what's happening in Southern California. She's going to make a comparison while she is sitting here promoting a damn movie. Does Jamie Lewis, does she look like she hurting to you? Does Jamie Lee look like she is struggling right now? Listen to this.
I'm born and raised in the city of Angels, and the entire city of Angels is on fire everywhere. Everywhere. The entire city of the Pacific Palisades is gone, you guys. I mean, literally my neighborhood gone. My house tonight is still there, but I live in a different canyon, but the entire Pacific Palisades looks like, you know, unfortunately Gaza or one of these war-torn countries where awful things have happened. So, and there are fires now breaking out everywhere. So it feels totally bizarre to be talking about a movie, and yet, you know, it's a piece of art. Art will save us no matter what.
She made the comparison to, she said it's like Gaza. People in Gaza have no food. You want to talk about water, barely any water. People in Gaza are having surgeries without anesthesia. How dare you? Rich Jamie Lee Curtis, whose house is still standing, by the way. I guess Jamie needs to go do another Halloween movie. Maybe that's what you need to go do, Jamie. Okay? Because this ain't Halloween. This ain't New Year's Eve. This is real fucking life. You weren't thinking about that when you made those Zionist comments that you made against people in Gaza when they were losing everything. And now everything has come your way. You weren't thinking about that when babies were blowing up, when kids were being ripped apart. You weren't thinking about that. This ain't Halloween. This ain't New Year's Eve. Go that away. Most of us don't know you for anything else anyway. Go over that away. Go. But this is what I want you to take home from the fire story. The fires in LA are a perfect example of the importance of mutual aid. While people are asking Newsom and Bass to do something, mutual aid came through. This is why I continue to do mutual aid. I do it because it helps people. I do it because it works. That's what I want you to take away from this as well, folks. All this time, people are like, where's the mayor? Where's the governor? Where's the? But while that was happening, the people rallied together and they started to do mutual aid. And the reason why I do mutual aid is because it works. It has never proved me wrong. It has never disappointed me. Some of you at some point may have been at a point in your life where you needed mutual aid. Politicians, nada. They will disappoint. They will confuse. They will use you. But the people got together. And so again, that list is making its way around. We shared it yesterday. This is the Mullen Fire and Windstorm resources. And Eric, can you share that link with everybody in the chat just one more time? There's one location on here which is important. That is Altadena. That is a working class area from what I read. So it's, while E! News and all the corporate media are covering the celebrities who lost their homes and their mansions, I do want you to know that working class neighborhoods have lost everything. So keep that in mind. Open your eyes and see what's really going on. I'm tired of these celebrities crying. I don't want people to lose things, but the reality is Jamie Lee Curtis, James Woods, all these celebrities that lost their mansions, these people will be fine. The people in Altadena won't. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.